Hey, Fabio. Ever. So what is the goal for this meeting or the expectation?
Basically to set the stage. Let me quickly make sure that others are in this meeting as well. Let's see.
Hello.
So because Fayad, I think a lot of people are going to the other meeting.
Everyone.
Oh no.
Yeah, there's a lot of people in the other one, in the Google.
Yeah,
There is another meeting?
that's
Yeah, I'm gonna jump off this call quickly and jump onto that one, and then just remind him to jump onto this one. Give me 2 seconds.
I can't get on that Zoom link, Bob. Have you tried it yet?
yeah, I'm actually in that call right now. All right, great to see everyone here. Hey, David. So let me start sharing my screen. All right, well, let's just get this show on the road then. So yeah, welcome all. This is our very first Open Enterprise Agent call for maintainers and contributors, which you are all part of that group. Before we start, we're officially part of Hyperledger right now, so I have to make you aware of the antitrust policy notice, which I take you will all read carefully and not act in contradiction of. And also, the Hyperledger community members must adhere to the Hyperledger Code of Conduct. I will leave that to you to read that on your own time. Call today is very simple. It's really an introduction, making sure we get started with this, but also sort of start getting into the rhythm of a group of participants that will hopefully grow and evolve over time. A little bit about the Open Enterprise Agent, a little bit about governance, what the plans are, and then end with a Q&A. Which could be either in 15 minutes from now or in 50 minutes from now, depending on how everybody wants to interact. I'm gonna ask maybe Fayyad if you can take some minutes and sort of monitor the chat if there are any questions, because I don't see those on the screen. But if there are any, then make sure you address those. So introduction and participants. Like I said, goal today is really to make sure we establish like the right context and sort of a baseline for the Open Enterprise Agent. Expect many of the practices that we have to evolve as we mature, and also becoming sort of a discovery process. So I expect that sort of 4 or 5 calls in, we will be talking much more about the work. And this is really just kind of a kickoff meeting. So I think a lot of you will already have seen what's being mentioned here, but at the same time, I think it's good to sort of formally kick that off. So in order to do that, I would very much like to start with a quick round of introductions for the record. I'll start, and then I'll give the mic to Björn, and then we can sort of all quickly do a short round. So I'm head of engineering at the Thaler Prism, which is no longer the owner, but now one of the main contributors to the Open Enterprise Agent. And I'm also part of the steering committee of the Hyperledger Labs Open Enterprise Agent together with Björn. So Björn, to you.
Yeah, hi. Yeah, my name is Björn. I'm following the Prism project for about 2 years now, nearly 2 years. So I'm not part of IOG, and that's the reason I'm here, I guess. I have a good understanding what the Prism agent is doing and the components, and I'm coming more from a technical side, but also I'm somewhat of an outsider and don't know all the details and plans, and I'm mostly here to ask annoying questions, and that's my part. So maybe Esteban, do you want to continue?
Yeah, no, actually I'm very happy to be this meeting happening. I started engaging with Prism. Well, I am an IOG resource, but I started as Björn as well, as part of the Pioneer programs a few years ago. And I'm quite happy to see this happening. This meeting is the start of something that was offered to the community long time ago. And it took a while to get in here, but it's finally happening. And yeah, and I'm very pleased to be here today and see this becoming a reality.
David, I'm just gonna go by my screen and then sort of you're on mute, David. You're still on mute. Okay, so Yuri, we'll get back to you, David. You're also on mute. Why is everybody on? Or am I not hearing?
I am not hearing as well.
Yeah, me too. Are you guys maybe in another call by any chance?
Let me try mine again.
There you go.
Okay. We're tagged back now. Hi, everyone. I'm David. I'm head of technical architecture as part of IO. I've been here and working on what used to be a Thaler Prism, now OEA, about a year and a couple of months. Short and sweet for me. Over to you, Yuri.
Nope, still no sound. So we'll pass the mic to Fayad and we'll come back to you, Yuri.
Cool. So I'm Fayad, I'm the community manager for Thala. I've been here for almost a year, and maybe just to rub this in Bart's face a little bit. I am part of the country that recently won the Rugby World Cup. Cool.
You had to go there. Okay, Gonzalo.
Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Cool. So yeah, I'm Gonzalo. I'm from Portugal, Lisbon, and I've been in IO for 2.5 years or something. So I'm more for the SDKs part, Swift, KMM, TS, whatever you require, SDKs. And yeah, so I think that's me.
Anton.
Yeah, hi guys. I'm trying to provide the best quality for Atala on all fronts. Yeah, I'm also from Lisbon, living together close to Gonzalo, and working in input-output for 2.5 years already. Also, yeah. So that's about me.
Nice. Yuri, let's try
Now,
again.
guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yes, yeah, we got you.
Okay, I'm Yuri, software engineering lead, working from Asia. It depends from the period of year and the hot or cold season. And my primary areas of responsibilities are backend services, microservices, and partially architecture and some other important aspects of engineering. So I'm happy to be a part of Atala tribe. Almost 2 years, I would say. Thank you.
Benjamin.
Yeah, so Benjamin from Belgium. I'm part of the technical architects team. We're working closely with Dave and Milos and Ezekiel. And I'm mostly involved in the backend part of the so in the Atala Prism agents side, open enterprise agent side, and yeah, mostly here to answer annoying questions that you may have. Yeah.
Cool. Fabio.
So I'm Fabio. I've been working on Atala for the last 2 years. I'm mostly working with DITCOM.
Shailesh.
Hello. Hi, I'm Shailesh. I've been, I think, quite a while with IOG, so maybe 5 years now. Yeah. Yeah, and I'm working on Prism Agent and Mediator on DITCOM side sometimes. Yeah. So that's me.
That's cool. Anushka.
Hi, I'm Anushka, product manager for customer development. I'm here just because I'm very inquisitive.
Pat.
Hello, so I'm a software engineer for the Cloud Agent and mostly working on the Prism DIT side. So if something breaks, that's probably me.
But if something gets fixed, it's also probably.
Yep, that's true.
All right, Lohan.
Hi everyone, my name is Lohan Spies. I'm a product manager for Prism and from South Africa, and been with IOG now for, I don't know, just over a year and a half, I think.
I like your all black shirt, Lohan. Thanks.
It's just to give you some comfort, boss.
All right, cool. Good. So why are you all in this call? Like I said, this is the maintainer call, and this specifically to Björn. This for us is really a journey, right? So this is all sort of born out of the Prism agent and Atala and IOG engineers being sort of the primary contributors to the source code at its origin. That will hopefully and likely change, but it's also gonna take a while, right? So I think that for all intents and purposes, this first step is actually quite important for us, like Esteban mentioned. I think we'll occasionally sort of make the Freudian slip and talk about the Prism agents. There's a lot of naming references which still refer to Prism. There's documentation which is atalaprism.io. All of that is in the process of being sort of fleshed out on how sort of we can best approach that to make sure that we don't confuse the community. But given that you are a valued community member, also make sure to keep us sharp when we do. And we transition towards like open enterprise agent as soon as possible and as complete as possible. Some important links, and I think most of you will know this, but this is also just for the record. So this will become part of the minutes. We'll get a wiki page on Hyperledger at some point. Fayad is working on that. We have a Discord both in Hyperledger as well as our own. I think our own will serve as the primary platform, at least for now. So if there are any questions with regards to technology, with regards to the agent, I would like to invite everybody to ask those questions on Discord. And this is especially for the IOG folks. I think it's going to be good practice to talk about the agent there rather than in our internal Slack, because it's just open by default, and it allows the community to take part in conversations that might touch them. If you have any problems with Discord, reach out to Fayad. He will hook you up. From experience, Discord can be quite messy, but he has developed quite a good way to sort of guide you through the whole process. We have a meeting calendar for this one, which is at the Hyperledger organization. I think you can subscribe to it. I'm not entirely sure, but basically that's every 2 weeks, and there will be minutes there as well. A little bit about governance. So Lohan has worked on this, and we had a meeting a couple of weeks ago to sort of flesh that out a little bit. There's basically 2 layers of governance. First layer is the steering committee, which should not be that active, meaning most likely this will be a quarterly meeting, and it's really about making sure that for the long term this project keeps moving in the right direction, has the right representation, and doesn't get sort of skewed into a certain direction. Currently, we don't have a steering committee. Well, we have an interim steering committee or a kickoff steering committee, or how we'd like to call it. Together with Björn, I'm co-chair there, and we are going to have to set up a meeting next month to basically formally establish this governance body. I think this is the boring part of the governance. The more exciting part is the maintainer part, because the maintainer part is basically all the operational stuff. So engaging with other contributors, reviewing and approving PRs, making sure work items get communicated around, answering questions, both on GitHub as well as sort of in this bi-weekly meeting. And the current list of maintainers is basically everybody who has contributed to the agent, together with Björn and the product owners that we have in IOG that can sort of participate here. I think Anton has set up all the rights to the repository to make sure we can approve PRs like we've been used to. I just think that everybody should be aware that sort of our mode of communication should be open by default. So we're going to gradually move more communication also to GitHub on that front.
Yeah, if somebody lacks some permission that he needs, so don't hesitate to contact me, and I will add everything that is required.
Yeah. So plans. So Bjorn, just for your information, so we've just gone through a rather intense planning exercise. So we have a pretty good idea of what we want to be doing, but I think for the purpose of this call and sort of our community, there are 3 features that we want to complete this quarter. Multi-tenancy, Anoncred, and revocation. So that's actively being worked on, and hopefully we can complete those on the near term. An important one is like to complete the transition to Hyperledger Labs. So currently the idea is to also bring in the SDKs and the mediator within the scope of the lab, because it's going to be simpler to manage the community in that way. Otherwise, we've made these repositories public, so it's possible to sort of start up your solution based from different repositories, but we feel that it's actually quite important to sort of bring that all under the Hyperledger Labs umbrella. So I expect that to happen also in the next few weeks or months. We're getting a wiki page on Hyperledger infrastructure. So that's in the hands of Fayyad, and we're transitioning our role, Atala's role, like from owners to stewards, and I'll touch on that a little bit later as well, and sort of what that means. And we're currently battling it out with our marketing department to see when should we do an announcement and create some PR around the Open Enterprise Agent, because obviously we want to engage with the community. We've given a few people sort of early access. Mostly these are Catalyst members that have gotten funding, and we said, okay, here's some early access. Everybody can sort of find it if they would use Google anyway, but we've just asked them not to communicate just yet, because we want to do some coordinated communication together with Hyperledger to do that. And they basically advised us that should be either in November or in January, but not during the Christmas holidays in December. I'm twisting Fayyad's arm to make it November, but let's see how far we get in that. I think it's better to do it right than to do it fast, but if we can do it fast and right, I would be very happy. Long term goals, obviously, to have like a really vibrant community. So Fayyad is being the community manager, has made all sorts of plans for that, but also make sure that it's full stack and it's fully owned by the community and no longer owned by IOG. So again, I expect the group of contributors and maintainers to evolve over time. We have some features on the roadmap, and I think part of the meetings that we have, and it's probably going to be closer towards the end of the year or early next year, we need to figure out how we prioritize features, because for now we have sort of on our radar think, oh, we want OIDC, we want pluggable VDRs, we have all sorts of ideas, but obviously the community should have a voice too. And I think this is part of our journey a little bit, to figure out how do we transition from a organizationally planned future to something where that community has an input, and sort of how do we prioritize for a community. So that's part of I think the discovery that we have to go through. And then I've added a question mark to this. We may or may not want to mature into a project. It's always an option, and I think we should approach it as such. It would be a significant achievement if we could become a project, but at the same time, if we don't become a project and we still get adoption and a vibrant community, I think we should be just as happy. I think that's the most important thing. And then lastly, I mentioned this this transition from becoming owners to stewards. We've discussed this quite at length in internally, and saying, hey, how does an open source project evolve if you have an organization which is the key contributor? Like, what do people expect from us, from a community, in order for us to become a trustworthy platform, and also taking some of the learnings into account from things like HashiCorp that sort of suddenly changed their license and things like that. So one of the things we've decided as an organization is to say, hey, let's make some strong commitments. And these are the 9 ones that we've landed on for now. I don't think these will evolve that much, and if they evolve, they will be expanded on rather than we take away, because that's the thing, right? If you promise something, it's like hard to rescind. Which is also why we're publishing them now in this first call. So there's some simple things like, hey, everything is going to be Apache 2 licensed, but I think the important thing here is we want this to be feature complete in terms of SSI functionality, so that the community can run like a full SSI ecosystem, even if they do it in private, even if they have some sort of business idea that they want to run with, that's going to be fine. Also, that our open source code base is going to be leading for any type of commercial offering that we have in terms of SSI functionality. So in the future, if Atala is going to become a maintainer, they're gonna sort of obviously have a commercial offering as well on the other side. But one of the things that I think we want to communicate is like, we're not gonna sort of hold back functionality in order to prioritize the commercial offering. In fact, it's going to be the other side. It's going to be the other side around, meaning that the Open Enterprise Agent, the latest version of the Open Enterprise Agent, is always going to be imported into whatever the commercial offering is going to be. And I think that's quite an important commitment to make. So yeah, that's it from my side. And it's time for Q&A. So now it's up to everyone to say, hey, this meeting is going to last 27 minutes, or it's going to last until the top of the hour. Any questions or comments or thoughts?
I don't know how to raise the hand here, so I just go ahead to ask. So you've said that probably one day will become a project. So what does it mean, becoming a project? Does it mean like Hyperledger project? And if so, what will be the difference from the lab, and what consequences it has?
So Hyperledger has basically 2 flavors. One is labs, which are more I would say low barrier, a little bit more flexible, a little bit more I would say innovative in character, and a little bit lower in maturity. So typically it's very good for projects like this to sort of say, hey, let's get started. Let's figure out how we do this open source thing. A project is significantly more mature, especially in terms of governance. So if you think about, well, Hyperledger Aries is a project. And these are a little bit more high profile. It's also because of that increased sort of governance structure, that also gives a lot of trust to the community to say, hey, this is longer term, this is welcome. Typically you have like a real community around your code base at that time, rather than sort of being one company or like a small group of people pushing something forward. So that's mostly it. Again, the repos are public, so in that sense, there's not a whole lot that's going to change. the way I see it, and Fayyad or Björn, feel free to chime in, or Lohan. The way I see it is more like a badge of honor almost for the level of maturity that we can reach, both with our software as well as the organization around it and the community around it.
Yeah, and are there formal requirements to become a project, or it's just like some formal things that can come later?
No, so yes, there are formal requirements, and I think it needs to go through an official approval process. But what that process looks like exactly, I don't know. I haven't looked into that. Lohan, maybe do you know?
No, I don't know what is criteria to become a formal project. Yeah, I'm not sure.
I'm sure there's documentation around that somewhere.
I posted a link in the chat with regards to projects and labs.
Okay, thanks.
Okay,
I have a question. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. I can just finish my second question was about SDKs. So you've said that there also will be labs, right? Soon. Will be it like one lab with all project together, or each project should be like a separate lab and separate owners and so on and so on? Do we already have an understanding of how it will be done?
So we have an option there. We could go both ways. I think it would be best if we put it all under Open Enterprise Agent. Just from a management perspective, right? Because typically the set of maintainers and contributors is going to be very, very similar. The topics that are going to be discussed are going to be very, very similar. And if we create separate labs, you need like separate structures for everything, separate sort of governance for everything. And you could still copy it, but that would mean that instead of having one meeting every 2 weeks on a Tuesday, you would have sort of alternating meetings, and one on a Tuesday, one on a Wednesday, and it starts to become quite complicated. And I think they're close enough to be part of the same package, right? Because wallet SDKs can be framed as edge agents, and mediators are sitting in between the edge agent and the cloud agent that we have. So
it's possible technically, right, that one lab can have multiple repos? And
yes.
It's not a problem.
Yeah. So this is we talked with the Hyperledger folks about this, and they said, yeah, you can pick the one which fits best, but there's no material problem against putting it all in one lab.
Nice, thanks.
Well, I have a question regarding the roadmap and how you handle currently the user stories, the features, the tasks, bugs, and so on. I think you're currently still using some closed solution. Will this also move into the public space, or what's the plan here?
Yeah, so I love that you bring that up. So thank you very much, because it was actually one of the things that I was going to bring up if nobody would ask it. But there's definitely a question on how do we communicate the roadmap? How do we communicate work items? How do we talk about bugs? The intention, so currently we use Jira for that. And we have an internal planning process, which we've just gone through, I think, for the last time in its current format. I hope that by the end of this year, we will have transitioned fully towards managing everything under GitHub. But we will need to learn how to make sure we can do that while maintaining some communication with our internal stakeholders. But I think it's the only way for this to move forward is GitHub issues and PRs and GitHub projects act as the single source of truth for this, given the fact that will have a community to answer to rather than just internal stakeholders. So it's definitely the direction. We want to be working completely in the open, but it's going to take a little bit of time to sort of make sure we do that in a way that that's responsible, and also that doesn't end up in a situation where we have partly internal Jira tickets and partly external issues and things like it, because it becomes really messy really quickly. So what I expect to happen is to say, hey, for all the issues, for example, let's start using GitHub there. Then gradually move some of the work items and the planning and sort of flesh those out in GitHub. So all the new stuff basically sort of more and more transitioning, and then hopefully by the end of this quarter, we will have a fully operational repository that communicates everything that needs to be communicated. I think it's a question also to this group, is how should we communicate our roadmap? Like, how do you communicate a roadmap to a community? Which is maybe less inclined to care about what we're going to work on like next quarter, but more about what are the active work items and how are we going to prioritize those. And I think we need to figure that out with the group of maintainers to sort of see, hey, how do we do this? And I think Lohan and Anushka and Esteban are gonna also play a pivotal role there to make sure we can manage expectations to the community as well as internally, and find the right balance there. But push us, Bjorn. I mean, I think everybody in this call, and also everybody in IO would love for all of this to be open like as soon as possible. But there are just sort of certain ties that we sort of need to sever a little bit responsibly. But also, I don't think we should be afraid. I think we should lean into this and sort of see this as an opportunity to make sure and say, hey, for some things, let's make sure we transition. So whenever there's issues, like use Discord, use the repository, and I think for all of us, I think it's good to get into that habit and make sure we don't sort of revert back into like this internal, like a Slack channel or things like that. I think those habits they need to be formed. Any other questions? All right. Well, if not, then we can have back some of our time. So expect this call to be sort of every 2 weeks, and I hope for the next time. So we'll be a little bit more disciplined in terms of the agenda. Hopefully, we'll have a wiki page by then. If we do, we'll update also the meeting invite to reflect that, and we'll put the agenda up before that time. If there's any things you want to have scheduled, like use Discord, and make sure that we gradually start talking more a little bit about the work items that we work on, and we give updates through this call as well, because I think that's ultimately what the purpose of this group of people is, to make sure we are aligned on all those items. Yuri.
Yep, 2 more comments from me. I guess that we are really happy when people will contribute to the projects, not just telling us you have a bug here or some typo here. Please don't be shy and contribute to the project. Secondly, we have currently internal show and tell meetings on a weekly basis, and I suggest that probably some interesting topics might also be moved to Hyperledger in order to show some features that we are currently working on, and that will be a part of next release, just to have the earliest feedback possible from the community. And third item is probably for Bart. but I'd like you to remember this first meeting and compare it with the same meetings that we are going to have in 1 year.
Yeah. I totally agree, and I like your suggestion also of the show and tell items. I think that's definitely something we should embrace. So if people have little demos that they want to do, make sure we sort of bring them to this meeting as well, so we can communicate those to the community, or we use some of the recordings from our show and tell, and we put them on Discord or something like that. And anything we can do to stimulate the conversation, get early feedback on things that we're working on from a group outside just us, I think is going to be great. Cool. So if you have any agenda items for next time, I'll see them on Discord. And until then, I wish you a good rest of the week, and we see each other again in 2 weeks.
See you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Thank you.
Bye.